Deadpool and Wolverine are breaking all the records, all those R-rated records, and hell, single-handedly reviving the superhero genre, right? Marvel is back. Marvel's peak. This is fire. All that crap. Really, though? Oh, man, I've listened to a couple of reviews, and to be completely honest, I'm not enticed to see the movie. And even leading into this stuff, I softened my position on it. It's like, yeah, it's going to make $1 billion. Okay, beyond a shadow of a doubt at this point in time. Hell, we can look at the opening weekend on this one. $438.3 million. Good enough for the 6th best opening of all time. Still behind Multiverse of Madness, which is kind of crazy. And then this ended up getting adjusted, I think, to 440, something like that, 441. But still, yeah, 6th place. It'll be interesting, right? Because the story, here's the common through line when it comes to a bunch of different reviews. Hugh Jackman, Ryan Reynolds, great chemistry on screen. The cameos are cool. I won't spoil any of them, mostly because I forgot most of them. And yeah, outside of just the sheer key jangle aspect of it, not really that interested to go see anybody in theater enough. But when it comes to the plot, oh yeah, it's nonsensical. And it falls apart under just a little bit of scrutiny to the more severe critiques of the film that, yeah. Deadpool and Wolverine have both been character assassinated. None of this stuff makes any sense at all whatsoever. It's another inclusion of a different take on the multiverse. So no, we still aren't any further ahead. In fact, this isn't. This is only going to be a little blip on the radar. And in fact, could end up heralding more convoluted and even worse plot contrivances into the future of the MCU, because yes, this is going to make a lot of money. It's likely going to make $1 billion depending on how steep the second weekend drop off is, which I'll be interested to see, because yeah, incredible word of mouth. But is there going to be watchability? Because in order to break that level, in order to break that 9-digit plateau, yeah, you're going to have repeat viewings. And is anybody really wanting to go see the key jangles that just aren't going to hit the same way that they did the first time around? It'll be tough to see, or rather tough to project, but let's look into some of these numbers here real quick. Marvel Studios, a badass duo, continued to rake in money for what's shaping up to be a $21.5 million plus Monday in domestic box office, if not more, according to sources tonight. At that level, Deadpool and Wolverine easily ranks in the best Monday ever for an R-rated movie, beating the Monday of 2016's Deadpool, which fell on President's Day holiday, earned at $19.7 million. So yeah, that's something that's a little bit different. Not too sure how it shakes out in the States, but this upcoming Monday, in most parts of Canada, we have a holiday, so there could be decent legs for next week when it comes to the domestic numbers. It definitely has that in favor. And then also, yeah, no competition. Like, what's the next big, quote-unquote, big release to come out? The 28th Aliens movie, okay? Among all Mondays in July, right now, Deadpool and Wolverine is shaping up to be the 4th best, really, after Spider-Man 2 in 2004. Wow, $27.6 million for, yeah, Spider-Man 2. It's like, come on. Yeah, Barbie, right, the biggest film of last year that has already been eclipsed by Inside Out 2. That shit's crazy. And The Dark Knight, where, yeah, okay, you know, justifiably so, $24.4 million. But all of those right there, PG-13. Not just, I think Barbie was PG-13, but yeah, definitely Spider-Man 2 and Dark Knight was rated at that level. But apparently the R rating for Deadpool and Wolverine doesn't really seem to be like that much of a hurdle. Tuesday is bound to be as bountiful as well for Deadpool and Wolverine. Last year, on its Tuesday, Barbie grossed another $26 million. So the day after holiday ended up doing just as well. And yeah, we'll have to see. In addition, we can tell you the promotional partner campaign for Deadpool and Wolverine was worth $135 million in a media value, which is more than what Disney racked up for Wakanda Forever, and more than the first and second Deadpool promo partner spend combined. So $135 million in marketing. I don't know if we specifically have a budget for this film, but I would imagine, you know, like those numbers are obviously going to come out at a later date, or maybe I just haven't seen them quite yet. But would anybody be shocked if this was anywhere south of $200 million? It's like, we're got to be right at that level. So yeah, this is going to be one of those cases where spend big, make big. But is this going to be another one of those reaffirmations that, yeah, you know, we were cooking so long, okay, on this idea. And yeah, maybe we just we got too hubristic. Thought that Ant-Man could go ahead and hearken the opening of Phase 5. We thought that, yeah, the Marvels, all this girl power crap, you know, we just thought, you know, that would fly in 2023. people liked Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Like, outside of that, okay, it was just Ant-Man and Captain Marvel. They aren't leading characters, right? That's the big problem. Is that going to be the takeaway on this one? Who knows, man, because we got some insight into the numbers here, you know, breakdown day by day. And yeah, $96 million on the Friday, but that also includes the Thursday previews. So that's all bundled together. And then $61 million on Saturday, $53 million on Sunday. Hell of a good turnout, man. Gonna have to see if it has legs on this. That's the only thing that could prevent this from breaking $1 billion. But over the weekend, dragging in $444 million, like, it's well on its way. Okay, especially with weak competition into the future. Yeah, it's pretty much certain. To its credit, this time around, okay, Marvel followed up one banger with another, okay? Comic-Con was also going down this weekend, and probably the biggest news to come out of it, okay, was Marvel returning back to Comic-Con after taking the past couple of years off, and, well, they clarified what's going to be happening in Phase 5, and, well, you likely heard about this at this point in time. The Russo Brothers are back. Oh, yeah, and Robert Downey Jr. is going to be Dr. Doom. That was crazy. I did not see that coming, okay? And on Sunday, I ended up hearing the news. I think it ended up breaking on Saturday, and it's like, wow, that's very interesting, okay? I don't immediately hate it, okay? My initial take on this was, well, okay, he was the face of the MCU. He was the guy who made it into just about, I would say, the biggest driving force. It turned the superhero genre into a decade-plus defining force in Hollywood. The centerpiece of the most financially lucrative cinematic franchise in history. He was the man all the guys wanted to be and all the women wanted to get with. He was the archetypal bad guy who arguably got treated the best by the MCU, okay, when it came to a character standpoint. Yeah, I hate Iron Man 3. I think it's an abysmal film, but when you take a look at his character arc in totality, you might disagree with his end and end game, but he did get a great send-off. So to see him come back, yeah, it's going to end up, ruffling some feathers, but if he brought the franchise to its absolute peak, not using the, the Zoomer speak of, that's peak fire, bro, but no, unironically, putting it all the way on top, there's reason to believe there is, the high degree of reasonability that he could do that from the other side. There are very few actors that are as talented as Robert Downey Jr. We've seen him at the absolute best. On the hero side, he could definitely bring that same energy, that same gravitas to arguably Marvel's most prominent villain, because that's the other thing, okay? Because he took a relatively obscure character outside of, unless you were playing the Marvel Ultimate Alliance, the Marvel games were out at the time, you probably didn't know who Iron Man was until 2008. Did you know who Dr. Doom is this time around? Well, I thought, you know what? It could be really good, man, okay? Then I started thinking about, okay, what else are they going to be doing on this? And then I started to hear from a bunch of other people where, okay, cool, yeah, have Robert Downey Jr., he's coming back, fresh off an Oscar-winning performance in Oppenheimer. There are very few actors at his level, and the fact that you got him, and it could end up being, super pricey, just noting how desperate Marvel is at this point in time, as if it wasn't obvious, just bringing him back at this point in time, having to completely and totally change the trajectory of Phase 5. Yeah, I heard some brainlets that were out there. It's like, oh, he's going to be playing Dr. Doom. Oh, he's not going to have to show his face, so you won't have to worry about confusing him with Tony Stark. It's like, why would you cast and why would you publicly announce that Robert Downey Jr. is coming back, making him your grand announcement at your Hall H panel at Comic-Con of all places, if you were just going to simply keep him behind the Dr. Doom mask? And have you been paying attention to any of the Marvel films since its inception? Every single character gets their face out as much as humanly possible. You're out of your mind if you think that it's just simply going to be RDJ doing some voice work under a modulation. You're silly if you think that. But then that also sparked a couple of other ideas where it's like, okay, cool. You wanted to go ahead and put out that idea, as dumbfounding as that possibly is, but you didn't want to confuse people that think, why is Tony Stark green and why has he got the silver mask on? Why could he potentially end up looking like this? I don't get it, because apparently, I don't know the comic runs or anything like that. Dr. Doom has been a lot of things to a lot of people. I think there's God Killer, Dr. Doom, but really it doesn't much matter. We have no idea what direction he's going to end up going. This could be one of many directions. So yeah, apparently there is storyline where Tony Stark becomes Doom. Who knows? Maybe this is another one of those multiverse situations where you have Tony Stark, if he ended up making a couple of different decisions, who ends up manifesting as that universe's version of Doctor Doom. He was announced. Okay, we can go ahead and, listen to the announcement and the crowd going wild on this one. But he's announced as, Victor Von Doom. He's announced as Doctor Doom, so we got to take it at face value, even though, well, we don't have a script. We don't really know anything outside of the movie that he's going to be, the movies that he's going to be a part of. So, let's see. Okay, load up, goddammit. Okay, you just, there we go.
We give you the one person who could play Victor Von Doom.
Yeah, see, that's very important. Victor Von Doom. Okay. And to be fair, yeah, that was always going to get a huge response because, yeah, he's the face of the franchise, okay? Even though he's been out of it since 2019, okay? Robert Downey Jr. is synonymous with Marvel. Now that you have the people that are arguably the architects of making the franchise as big as possible, band is back together, and with the information that we have right here, yeah, it all kind of makes sense how we've arrived at this point. After a bruising year, several years, Marvel is returning to the very things that worked in its past. That means reuniting with franchise crown jewel Robert Downey Jr. as well as Russo Brothers, who directed the two most successful movies and two of the three Captain America films that are both highly regarded and also financially successful in Winter Soldier and the Civil War. But yes, Avengers, Infinity War and Endgame, not End War and Infinity Game. Those are totally different, and I'm sure there's probably a comic run for that. But anyways, but bringing back key members of the old gang won't come cheap. Well, exactly. Sources say Marvel is plunking down $80 million for Anthony and Joe Russo, desperation, to direct Avengers Doomsday. Yes, that's going to be the retitled Kang Dynasty, because it would have been hilarious to bring back Robert Downey Jr. as Victor Von Doom, be the second to Jonathan Majors Kang, oopsie daisy, and Avengers Secret Wars. So yes, re-debuting and confirming that yes, that is ultimately where we're going to end up, and significantly more for Downey to tackle uber villain Doctor Doom in the two tentpoles. Russo's deal doesn't include back-end compensation, but it does contain performance escalators that kick in at $750 million and $1 billion thresholds. I mean, DJ's back. Okay, they pressed the Marvel emergency button. It's going to hit those markers, okay? The brothers will also produce the two films via their production company. That marks something of a departure for Marvel, but it also shows you how desperate they are, which is what a lot of people have pointed to, which has led to the mixed result, which, okay, at the time when there was rumors running about, it's like, okay, the Russos could be coming back to direct, but who else is going to be a part of this? And, well, to be fair, we got a couple of names that are going to be on there. It's a check in the good column, okay? Stephen McFeely, he was the writer behind Infinity War, so yeah, okay? It's a good thing. That's a good thing that he's back. And composer Alan Silvestri, which means that, yeah, okay, the music's going to be good for Avengers, which, for a Marvel film, it's been a long time, like outside of just catchy pop tunes, nobody really talks about the scores or the music choices. Well, that's a W, and the Fantastic Four cast will return. So that also leads me to believe with next year's Fantastic Four, what are they calling it? First Steps? We're going to see Doom in that. Is he going to be teased in that? Because I can imagine, right? Because we're just all theory crafting at this point in time. What is RDJ up to in this one? Okay, what is he ultimately going to end up doing? Because I got to give you the other side of this, okay? Like I said, I was listening to a bunch of people opining on the subject, and I'm going to go ahead and take this at face value that, yeah, Doctor Doom is going to be in good hands, or about as best of a custodianship of the character that we've seen at Marvel for a while now. And given where they're at as a franchise, yeah, they're going to be relatively hands-off from an evil corporation aspect. Is this going to be some convoluted story of a Tony Stark gone wrong? I sure hope not, but they're also going to have to reconcile, given the fact that, yeah, we're going to see, Secret Wars that's out there. And yeah, if RDJ is going to be back, Is Iron Man going to be back? Well, Secret Wars. I think we're all kind of anticipating that. We were all looking forward to the future and then just going, okay, how many keys are Disney going to go ahead and wheel out to jangle at us for this? Is Chris Evans going to be back? Well, you know, a little bit of a spoiler. He was just back recently for another project, so we know he's not busy, and you know that he's willing to come back into the fold in some form or fashion. Are they going to be bastardizing one of the most iconic villains in Doctor Doom in order to, you know, play the nostalgia card of, oh, what happened to Tony Stark? He ended up getting corrupted. Or are they going to do a proper Doctor Doom story, okay, with somebody who is, embodied what it means to be a resource flush apex of humanity, making the correct decisions, flipping that on its head and doing it from the villain perspective? I think that that could be fantastic. We know that RDJ has the chops to do that. It's just with such an iconic and famous face, how are they going to have to do that? But I would imagine, given the fact that, they gave the keys to the castle to Downey for this, that's probably where we're going to end up. Playing on the corrupted Tony Stark idea, which, it could be good, but I don't really like the setup. But then also knowing that, Doctor Doom is going to eventually have to give way to Galactus, because there were also teases of that. And I think we have Javier Bardem cast for that, and Fantastic Four is going to be teasing Doom. They're going to be teasing Galactus with the female Silver Surfer. We already know a little bit about that story. It's going to be set in a different universe, so it's all coming in where it's going to end up colliding on Secret Wars, where it's going to be even more convoluted now that they threw in a very recognizable face over the top of that. So I'm thinking probably the best that we can hope for is that we're going to be getting some fantastic performances. It could be an interesting story. It's the right people in the right places. It's just at this point in time, man, and especially after 2025, because you remember, what's the next film? Well, even though Deadpool and Wolverine making a lot of money, like we've been saying, what's Disney going to learn from this stuff? Oh, right, cameos. What did they come out with? Oh, right, recognizable nostalgia faces. What's the next thing that they're doing? Pilfering and plagiarizing a character by giving it up to, or rather passing on the mantle. And how are normies going to approach this? Probably the same way that, you have somebody who's attached to the project looks at this, okay? Trying to explain another central concept from Deadpool and Wolverine, the concept of anchor beings in the MCU.
So Deadpool and Wolverine set up anchor beings, meaning if they die, the universe dies. So who do you think would be the anchor being of 616, the universe you're in?
616? I mean, universe 616?
Universe 616.
This is, oh my God, and we understand, Harrison Ford, hilarious when it comes to how much he actually doesn't care about a bunch of his characters that he's portrayed in the past, specifically Han Solo. That's what so many people are going to look at, okay, going forward. The anchor beings, 616, that's Tony Stark. Why is he green? This is all the stuff that they're going to have to overcome. They're making some smart moves. They're obviously course correcting. They obviously realized that they have, over the past 5 years, monumentally screwed up. You got to give them points for that, okay? But at the same time, just because you got to give them points for recognizing how bad of a position they put themselves in, are they the custodians to go ahead and bring that forward and actually make the appropriate changes? I guess at this point in time, only time will tell. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.